Hi, so from time to time I want to start posting little technical videos like PHP explainers, and I thought what I'd start with is reflection and attributes. So we need PHP 8 for this, and it's a slightly advanced technique, and normally you wouldn't do that just so that things are more readable for people. But in this particular case, I kind of feel that you should for ease of editing. We'll go through this, but also for the idea of having classes be separate and do a single task and as generic as possible. Now, I have here then this very simple class that's representing a news item. And if we think about it, somebody is going to edit this class at some point in the future, or most likely this class, and we want to make it as easy as possible for them. Now, the concept here is that we'd also have some sort of feed, so an XML feed or a JSON feed, and that the items from this would show up in some sort of feed. And as I say, the principle is we want to make this class distinct from a feed generation class. So what would normally happen is if someone was just programming the quickest thing, or it was AI and you asked it, it would take this, it would hardcode what fields we want to output, and it would create a newsfeed class to produce our feed. Now, I don't want that. I want it as generic as possible. So the newsfeed class, you virtually never edit, but when you do, it does just newsfeeds. And this class will just deal with the news items, but we can use attributes to say what we want. So for example, I could do like in feed, and let's say we'll give this like a title, and in here as well, this would be like story, because it's a news story. Let's auto accept the author, and we'll auto accept the date published. Now if I save this, you can see there's a problem. We need to set up this attribute. So under app, I'm going to set up a new folder called attributes, and I'm going to have a file in here, and I'm going to keep it fairly generic, so attributes.php. Now in here we want to write our code to be this attribute. So our first thing is PHP namespace app attributes. Right, we also need to import attributes, and this is I don't want this. Okay, let's do attributes here, class in feed. What have I done wrong here? I just needed to actually save it. Okay, now it's sort of auto-completed label, and I'm going to add get label in to autocomplete. Now what is my issue? Okay, that's better. And that's because I've actually typed this wrong, and these should all be outside. We're leaving out ID. Save this. Now we need to import this. So we need to use this. So now we have attributes attached to each item to say whether it's in the feed and what we want the title to be. Now, the nice thing about this is that when someone comes along, they add another field. So let's say we do in feed date modified. Date modified, and we have it here and here. So we've added another field, and the idea is that it will instantly be in our feed. So our output, be it JSON, XML, whatever we're trying to do. So I'm going to create a new folder and create feed, because this is not a newsfeed now. This is generic kind of feed process. And I'm going to create a new file, feed.php. Now, namespace. I don't actually want to use the news items, so we're going to do class feed here. Now my idea is public function get feed fields. Then I'm going to have string class name, and it's going to be an array. Let's just accept this code for now. So fields is going to be what we're going to output. I'm going to reflect the class. So we take a new object from the class and reflect it, get the properties. Then this is the attributes. If it has them, then fields, property, get name, attribute instance, get label. Okay. I'm going to redo this. Fields, bracket, equals. Did I call it get label in attributes? I did call it get label. So fields. So I'm going to do property name and label. So what I'm missing is property type. Okay, that seems reasonable. So we get the property type, mixed, and the label. So this is the label it would show up in your feed. So now we have this. In general, you might want to comment this. So actually, let's just put in finds the fields in the class marked with the infeed attribute. There we go. So now let's make something to test this. We want to require all of our items. I want to use app feed. I don't think we need the others. So feed is new field, feed. Fields get feed fields. Yeah. And then print our fields. I'm doing this kind of live, so this never works the first time, but let's give it a go. PHP test.php. And it did work the first time. So this function in our feed file, the get feed fields, we haven't done the rest of the feed, but that you could fill in. It depends if you're doing JSON or whatever. But for this class object, it's outputting the property name, say title, which is a string, and the label we want to use in the field, which is title. Here, the content, which is a string, and the label we'd want to use, story. And then property name author, string, label we want to use is author, and so on. So I think you can see what we have essentially is independence between the two functionalities, so between the feed and the actual news items. So if I want to modify feeds in general, I just modify this feed class. But if I modify news items, which is more likely, in fact, let's do it. Let's add another field and show it dynamic. We're going to add another field. Let's say we're adding in news source. Right, and we'll have public string news source. And we're going to add it into here. And we'll tab that into there. So now we have news source. And if we run this, what we should get instantly in our feed output, the news source. So there you go, that's all I wanted to say. Most of the time you should avoid more complicated code. I think we can say, like, without the comment, this is a little bit hard to understand what it's doing, but in practice, most of the work's going to be on items on classes. So this gives you a generic method to mark out which fields or which properties you want to appear in the feed.